Judith, thanks so much for having me down to Ink Hotel.
Thank you for the invitation.
I love the property, love where we're at. I think before we get into Ink Hotel and its origination and the ideation and how you brought it to life, I think everyone listening and watching would love to hear a little bit about yourself, maybe your background, and if you can kind of bring us up to today, would be great.
Yes, absolutely. So I've been living in Dubai for 12 years now, originally from Hungary. I'm not a typical hotelier. In terms of my background, I've been trying out a lot of things in the past 10 years in Dubai especially. So I've been in marketing, real estate, business development, and a lot of other things. But I think what really brought me here to this point and influenced me in my journey is probably working with Jumeirah and being lucky enough to study with Jumeirah in Emirates Academy. I think that's where I really got influenced and really fall in love with hospitality. I think Dubai, UAE is especially a place where you find the type of hospitality that you don't experience really anywhere else in the world. So in my background, I think that would influence me very much so. And through the steps of the career, as I went from Jumeirah to real estate, to business development and other things, it somehow always, circled me back to the point of I miss hospitality. So I tried bits and pieces, a lot of different things, and I ended up with being back to my true passion.
Amazing. It's rare to see someone who spent a little bit of time in hospitality, does a few other things, and then launches their own brand. Was there always an entrepreneurial streak in you?
I believe so, yes. I always thought about creating things. I love building, I love creating, collaborating. And I think I found that the traditional career path or being in certain jobs would limit me in a sense of, you have to follow too many guidelines. That is not my specialty. So I like to break rules. I like to create new things. And I believe during my studies, I was particularly researching about boutique hotels, the history of boutique hotels, the development of the first brands. And I really felt this resonates with me the most. So I believe at that point, while I was doing my dissertation, I kind of had this connection of I really want to have my own brand one day. But that was like a very long-term goal, and it was in the far future at that time.
Amazing. Well, I'd like to break down Ink Hotel and its journey into a couple of parts. The first part, I'd like people to just understand what Ink Hotel is, the type of guests you're after, the brand that you want to create. And then I'd like to track back into the first day you thought about it and how you brought it to life. So if we can just get an insight from you on what Ink Hotel is.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ink Hotel stands for 3 major pillars. Unlike other brands and hotels where usually people choose music or fashion or dynamic sports or whatever else is there, I thought about having the pillars in a completely different way compared to other brands. So to me, I picked sustainability, collaboration, and empowerment. Things that are not as much marketable, not as much as you're putting on a marketing campaign or you're creating some beautiful, flyers and videos around it, but it's more about going from the inside to the outside. And this is about to influence people you work with, influence your guests, influence your partners. So I would say collaboration is super important to us because we work with local companies. The focus from day one was to help each other, try to find partners, local companies and small businesses that we can collaborate with and help each other to grow. That was really important to us. And empowerment, of course, in a sense of hotels and the service industry in general, of course, it has to have rules and policies and trainings and quality standards. We do trainings and we do quality standards, but we don't want to restrict and limit our teams and our employees for a certain behavior. That's where empowerment comes into the picture, to allow people and to push and empower people to make their own decisions. And they will make mistakes, of course, as everyone does, but they have a chance to learn from it, and we support that. So to me, it was very important to create an environment where you are supportive. Allow people to make mistakes, allow people to learn from it and to grow. And with this environment, with having such an open, kind of safe place, they are really allowed to connect with the guest. So what really stands apart Ink from other brands, why we are different is because we do connect with every single person in a personal level. More than just a smile, more than just a service standard, it is really a genuine connection. And most of our guests recognize this and mention this when they review us, that all of the employees, wherever they go through on a journey, whether it's related to rooms or F&B or reception, through the customer journey, at some point they really get to connect and remember each other. And I think this is something that really differentiates us in terms of looking for, customers, guest engagement, and who is our target audience. I would say everybody who is young at heart. At one point, we were asked at the beginning, who is your target market? Who is your target audience? And I said, I don't have, in a traditional way. Why would I limit myself for an age group or an income group? I don't have that. I have guests who can afford this place. I have guests who can barely afford this place. And I have guests who can afford much more than, but they keep coming here. Because in their heart, they resonate with this place. They enjoy being here because they can be at ease in themselves. Most people say that we feel this is a very laid-back, calm place. We can be ourselves. There is no, restrictions. There is no pressure. So it's easy for the guests to enjoy their time. I think this is super important for us.
Because when you look at Dubai, you've got Jumeirah Group, you've got the Marriotts, you've got the Hiltons, you've got the Accors, so many big brands. I think one of the comments many people in hospitality say is there is that lack of boutique properties and independent properties. Is that through your studies that you found that? Has that been in Dubai for the last 10 years? Did you see a gap in the market? Like, talk me through the first day you were like, I'm going to do my own hotel brand. Like, how did you even come to that point?
Well, it was very interesting. Somebody pointed this out to me. To be honest, it was an unexpected story of me being part of my studies, working in the same time. I had a full-time job with a large real estate company, and I was studying in the same time. So it was like a very hectic time of the life, right? So a lot of work, a lot of studies, and a lot of dreaming about hotels and learning and researching about hotels. And at some point I got so passionate about it. I still remember one of the very senior leaders from our organization pointed this out to me. I talked about hotels and how the school is going, and I was studying, and it's super exciting. And I really love hospitality. And then he said, well, maybe one day you're going to have your own hotel, which at that moment in time for me seemed impossible. But it kind of planted a seed on my mind that, what if he's right? Like I could actually have my own hotel one day. And then from that moment itself, it's just kept coming back. The idea, the desire of creating, to owning a brand, and to being able to shape it in a way that I feel it's right, and the way I feel it has a space in this country or globally.
And from that ideation, the seed that was planted in your head, what are the next steps from finding an investor, finding a property, designing the brand, the creative, what the rooms will look like? Like, talk people through that, because I don't think people get an insight into from an idea to opening the door and welcoming your first guest. Like, what are the 5, 6, 10, 100 steps?
I would say there are a million steps, but let's just highlight the first few. And this is not universally applicable, but to me in my journey it worked. I have not been thinking about investors or rooms or sizes or locations or buildings. I was just following my heart, really. I want to create a brand. I want it to be funky and young. I want to feel at home. I want other people to feel home. I came up with these pillars of empowerment, sustainability, and collaboration. So these are the things were on my mind at that stage. It could have been this building. It could have been any other property. So when you have that idea, what you want to create, and you stick to it, and you are able to feel it and to believe in it, and then you can give it to other people around it, they will start believing in it. So I started building a brand without having any idea what's going to be the next step, to be honest. Just went for it. And then step by step.
And sorry, when you say that, that's like designing what it would look like a mood board? Like
it was just how it would feel like.
Okay.
Literally, how it would feel like, the vibe.
Yeah.
The vibe of, is it a friendly place? Is it a serious place? Is it a luxury place? Is it a budget place? Are you happy there, smiling, laughing with friends? How the guests feeling like? How they behave? Are we allowed pets? Is the music pumping? Is it dark? Is it light? It's just an overall feeling of, it's almost like imagine a childhood memory. You can't really put anything around it, but it's just there. That's how I started developing a brand. And once you have that vibe and feeling and you are able to create things around it, at that stage you create things around it such as visions, mood boards, colors, getting a logo down, getting the name down, kind of type of personalities you want to see there. So that's the first step where you have it. It's still just a bubble of ideas. Then when we are able to put that on paper, start working, of course, with the design agency, getting the logo down, getting the brand guidelines, and then all the mood images. Once this is done, then you kind of have something solid. From there, you start building more. What would be the size of the room? Which location would this fit? Which property could be ideal? That's when I reached the point that I believed in it 100%, and people around me, friends, family, people that you share these things with, they also started to become a fan. It's like, okay, we have a fan club. Ink Hotel is Ink Hotel. It needs to, materialize in some way. So that's when you look for connections, investors, business opportunities. And in parallel with that, you have to start working on your numbers. Because to get to the next stage, it has to be financially feasible.
And can you talk us through any of that, or is it top secret? Can you talk us through how you approached investors, how you approached the owner of the building?
Yeah.
Like, it's really interesting stuff, but
Absolutely.
I don't know how much you're...
To me, as I said, I've been here for 12 years. So what is very important is, as you know, in our industry is your network, your connections. So we had an opportunity, a unique opportunity, because it was during COVID. And that was actually the upside of it to us, because during COVID, for example, this property, the building itself, was just being completed, but it was never operational because of COVID. So at that time, as I'm sure you have seen a lot of operators, a lot of hotel brands, they had their own challenges. And that challenges opened opportunities for newcomers like me. And during this time, with these challenges, I was able to propose the idea and the solution basically for the owner of the hotel, that perhaps with the new brand, perhaps with the new idea, perhaps uplifting to a higher quality and room rate, this property could actually yield more profit. It could be more successful. It has equally the risk for the owner and for us as well, but there is risk and reward, right? So with a good plan, with a solid strategy and stable financial projections, we were able to ink the deal.
I like it. Okay, so let's say it is, refurb gets done, design gets done, agreement with the owner gets done. You're looking forward to a future date in a couple of months where you're going to open the doors for the very first time. You don't have Marriott Bonvoy behind you. You don't have Hilton Honors behind you. Is that a mammoth task to go out and go, right, how are we going to get this property in front of people? Or is it as easy as uploading your pictures to Booking.com and Expedia? Talk us through how you take what your idea was, you brought it to life physically, but now the world needs to know about it, or at least, enough people every night to fill your rooms needs to know about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's definitely a challenging task to start a new brand from scratch, to launch it. In terms of getting it done, it is not difficult, right? You have your marketing agency, you have your photographers, you have your nice setup, you upload it on your OTAs, you create your own websites, your Instagram. So this, in theory, it's a very easy task, and then, right, if you have the right people around you, but to get results out of it, that's the challenging part, and it's time-consuming as well. So it's not as easy. For us, the milestone of really getting the people know the brand, and maybe to start remembering, and the word of mouth, and a nice recommendations and returning guests, I would say 9 to 12 months.
Okay.
To reach there.
You budget for that though? Do you budget for that in year one? You're like, okay, this is going to...
Yes, in year one, it is a trial. Even if you are a well-established brand, even if you were doing an operation agreement with large players, there is always a performance clause in your contract, and there always usually gives 12 to 18 months to see results, right? Of course, you have targets, you have to achieve certain things, but it's hard to judge before that, because you need to go through on the seasonalities, you need to go through on the ups and downs of getting a solid team on the ground operationally. Your marketing activities, it takes time to pay off. As you know, how Google, Instagram, all of the social media and algorithms work. Even if you put decent budgets, it takes time to trigger and to pick up. So whether you're a big brand or small brand, it is as challenging for everyone for the first 12 to at least 18 months.
You talked at the very start about empowerment and empowerment of the team. I love that, and I hope I'm on the right lines, but I've always thought when hotels give SOPs to team members, sometimes it's tough for them to go around it, especially at the bigger brands. And I've always thought when I worked at the front desk, great teams can read the person when they approach the desk. So you see a business traveler come in, you see them in a hurry, they're on their phone. Maybe they don't want to know everything about the property in that moment, like as quick as possible, get them the key card, get them checked in, let them go to their room. You see a young couple maybe had an argument. They don't want to talk too much. Again, just get them away from the desk. Whereas, you know, a couple coming on their honeymoon might really want the long conversation, know everything about the resort. So if you're able to read the guest, it's a much nicer experience for both. But that comes down to empowerment. Have I read that right? Is that the type of empowerment you want to give your team? To not follow the letter of the law every single time just because it's in an SOP?
Absolutely. And how do you know when this is done right? When your team comes to you, and obviously I'll ask how are our guests doing, who's happy, who's celebrating, who's on business, what's going on. I like to know, And when the team comes to you and they talk about the person, not about playing dates, which room they want to upgrade, they want to order what food, like we don't talk about these things ever. So what they talk about is, this person seems to be a bit worried, something happened to his car, this person is very happy, they are celebrating. So when I hear from my team, the brief of what's going on in our property is actually a download on how the people feel, then we're good.
It's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Like one of the things with any new property is, as you've said there, after year one, it's keeping that momentum, it's getting guests re-engaged. I think two things on that. One, is there any tactics you've used where you've used programs to get people re-engaged? Maybe you can talk us through that. And then the latter part of that is, I remember when I thought about starting my business, I never would have imagined some of the problems that come up that you can't plan for. Like it's in you no way, no matter how many people you speak to, they just come up. Has there been any funny things that have happened, to you during the last 2 years where you're like, oof, didn't expect that to happen?
Every week. Many, to be honest. Many, more at the beginning and more so due to being new and being new team for each other. So our team members, many of them still with us since pre-opening. So now we are looking back 2 years ago, pre-opening, we are laughing about stories and things that happened. But at the beginning, with the new team, because you don't know each other that much, even though you have a very solid, professional, respectful relationship in work, you don't know each other. And it matters. It's just same as in a friendship or any other relationship. So when you don't know each other that much and you have kind of issues, you cannot resolve it as well because you don't know what the other person would say or think. Or are we seeing the situation in the same way? Or are we able to come up with the right solution and we are in agreement on those things? You don't have that. That's not given at the beginning. So the challenge is to, instead of highlighting one funny or interesting incident, I think the period of time of 3 to 6 to 9 months, however long it takes, to get together as a solid team, that's the challenging part of overcoming those issues and obstacles. Once you are close together and you're strong, you're still going to have the issues every week, but resolving that issue is a smooth sailing compared to anything.
And the team is everything, right? So how do you keep them motivated? How do you, make sure that because hospitality has the issue where we have a lot of high turnover, people tend to leave. How do you keep the team motivated and engaged? And you talked about vibe before, like how do you keep a good vibe with your team?
We just like each other. To be honest, I really love them. I like them a lot. I care about them. I look into their eyes. I smile at them from my heart. I care what they say, what happened to them, how is their free time, how was their workplace, was there any issue, whatever it is, I do care what is happening in their life, and I think they feel that, and I feel the same back. And it is very simple enough to walk through the corridor, see your housekeeper or see your chef, and just one, eye contact, and you know that the person is okay or not happy today or what happened. So you kind of always try to make sure that everybody feels included always, and everybody is in the best possible balance of their state while they are here. And of course, other than that, we do the usual things, competitions and rewards and prizes and team outings and parties. We are big on parties, so like to celebrate. A lot of burgers and cakes and fun. So I think genuine engagement really is the key.
We're living in Dubai. one of the most dynamic cities you could possibly be in. We're always, and the government is, lead from the top in terms of their innovations. Is there anything within Incotel that you're innovating on now, that you're planning for the future? Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, so it comes back to sustainability. Luckily, when we took over the property, it already been equipped with solar panels and very forward-thinking, plans and projects when the owner built it. So I was super happy with that. We built on it a lot. So in operational-wise, day-to-day operations, we implemented so many things that is related to sustainability. And we are way advanced of many hotels and competitors around us when it comes to taking these steps and measures towards sustainability and actually implementing it. And we are educating our guests about the same, and they love it and they engage with it. So I think we really, our biggest step forward and differentiation from our competitors is the levels of sustainability that we managed to implement, even though we are such a small organization and small brand yet. Other than that, we are looking into, implementation of technologies always. We're constantly looking for, it is, I think it's one of the most challenging, especially for a small single brand, because we don't have that big network to rely on what systems we are going to use, and we don't have a history of many systems and software that we tried. So it took a little time to fine tune this part, but this is something that will never stop. We'll always have to look for the best solutions. The core system, what drives the business operation, that supports rooms and revenues and the core of the business is really set, and we will not change that. But to build on it and to upgrade with new technologies, that's definitely on my radar.
Amazing.
All the time.
Hopefully we'll stay talking. You talked about one of your pillars being engagement with the local partnerships. Can you talk us through some of those?
Yes, absolutely. So collaboration, engaging with local partners is very important, because we started as a small business. So we want to see others grow as well. So to start with, even during pre-opening, we already engaged with one of the roasteries. So we are very big on specialty coffee and specialty milk, and everything is specialty when it comes to that department. So we engaged with a local homegrown coffee roastery called Grandmother. They've been going through on the same journey, just a little bit started earlier than us. So we collaborated with them from the beginning, and until today we have an excellent relationship, and coffee, of course. What you get from each other really when it's a startup and they want to grow their brand, they want to, make it popular and help us as well. So they do several trainings for us, to our baristas. Our baristas go there and visit their facilities. We collaborate not only on training, but recommendations, advice, and we perfected our coffee to a level now that it's addictive.
It's good.
And everybody keeps coming back for it. So that's a great thing. Secondly, we have in the neighborhood one of the dog nurseries, basically. So they have daycare and hotel for dogs. We collaborate with them as well, because we are pet friendly. So when our guests come with dogs, we give them, special offers to take their dogs there, or just, if they want to have a membership there. So we kind of cross-promote with them as well. Again, within our district, small business, we know the story, we know the owners, we know their dog. So it's, again, similarly building a relationship and growing together is our focus.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this story. I'd like to finish off with, if we were to sit down in a number of years' time, maybe anywhere from 3 to 5 years' time, will Incotel have expanded to multiple properties? Where will the brand be? Where would you like to take it? You've had the idea of creating a brand. You've now done that. What's step 2?
Step 2, yeah. Since we turned 2 years old now, step 2 is definitely to grow and to expand. Our target, obviously, open for the region and globally, but my personal focus is still the UAE. I do want to see Incotel in multiple locations within UAE, as well as we are now moving towards focusing on residential as well, service apartments. So our new brand, Ink Living, has been established last year, and now we're working towards to getting that as well. So mixing hotel stay, mixing long stay, residential with service apartment. I'm kind of working now on the perfect formula of how many hotel rooms and how many service apartment makes sense to work together, along with all the other elements that you require in a space of hospitality.
Amazing. Judith, congratulations on everything you've done. Thanks so much for sitting down with me.
Thank you very much.